Hello and welcome to the Book Marketing Simplified podcast. My name is Jenn Hanson-dePaula.
And I'm Marcus-dePaula. And Jenn, you use the word content a lot. So let's break that down today, see what it means and how authors can get the most out of their content. So let's start with, what does content mean when you use that word?
That is a very good question. Content is any form of information that you put out into the world, meaning social media posts, a blog post, a podcast, a video. It's anything where you are sharing a part of your story or sharing your book or putting information out there to connect with people and to inform people about what it is you write about.
And it can be text or images or graphics or video or audio. And with all of these different media types that we have at our disposal to create, to get our information out there, it can be overwhelming. So how do we plan? How do we get organized? How can we be intentional about this as we come up with our content ideas?
Instead of thinking of all of the different things that you want to talk about, or there's just like this random collection of thoughts that you have, thinking about 3 to 4 content buckets. The content buckets really are the main topics that you want to talk about. So for example, my content buckets are book marketing, social media, newsletters, and content creation.
Okay.
So those are the 4 big topics that I talk about. Those are my content buckets. For a fiction writer, that might be talking about their book, talking about books that they're reading, and it could be talking about their hobbies. It's 3 to 4 things that you want to talk about. I usually don't do more than 5 content buckets because then you just get a little too much.
Right.
So this really is the starting point of thinking through what are the main topics that I want to talk about.
And it keeps you focused, and it's kind of like your guardrails, keeping you going off the road.
Exactly. And it helps you guard your time as well.
Right.
So you can be, again, very focused, and you can end at the destination that you want.
All right, so once we have our content buckets and we know which topics we want to focus on, what's the next step in coming up with content ideas so that we can start making our posts?
If I'm talking about a fiction writer, I would take a piece of paper or a whiteboard or whatever you want and write your 3 content buckets. My book, books I'm reading, and my hobbies. And you start listing out under the books you're reading category. Make a list of all of the books that you want to share and talk about. And this can even be groups of books. This could be books that I bought because the cover was beautiful, books that inspired me to become a writer, those kinds of things. So you just make a big fat list of all of these books.
A brain dump.
A brain dump, exactly. Next, you'll want to do that with your book, thinking about the themes and the topics, specifically for fiction writers. So a theme might be love. It might be anxiety. It might be character development. It's thinking about the things within your book that you want to share. And you just, again, do another brain dump. And the same goes for your hobbies. Maybe you're a gardener and maybe sharing how you take care of your summer garden. It's just getting all of those ideas out.
All right, so we have all these ideas written down now so we can see them all in one place. What's the next step?
This is where we are going to run it through the filter of 4 different ideas.
Okay.
We're going to run it through the filter of entertainment, inspiration, education, and promotion.
So it's like the purpose of these posts.
Exactly. Let's say that one of the topics that you did a brain dump on for your book would be love and commitment. So what you would do is you write love and commitment and then draw 4 lines out from that one topic. So for entertainment, you could share your disastrous first date with your husband.
Okay.
You write that down. And then you could do educational, what I learned from 10 years of marriage. For promotional, you could do a pull quote from your book. And then for inspirational, you could do something like, yes, you can recover from a bad first date.
Mm-hmm. Or a quote from somebody else
Exactly.
that it applies to your topic.
And that's the great thing about this concept is that you can use the love theme and then do a whole other 4 quadrants from this because you can get so much out of this one topic.
Mm-hmm.
When you take these steps to breaking down, rather than just having this general topic of love,
Right.
you can break it down even further. And so what this does is it gives you ideas and content that are more specific, that's going to connect with your ideal reader, and it's going to make your posts that much more memorable because it's not just this general post. It's something specific. It's story-driven because you're sharing something from your own personal story or from your book. And it's also getting at the essence of the book.
And I know for me, I tend to want to overshare in a single post. So this also helps me keep it focused to one little bite-sized takeaway that will hopefully stick with them better, but it's also quicker for me to create.
Exactly. And that's the other big thing is that it is a huge time saver. And because we know the general concept of what we want to talk about within those 4 different quadrants, we're able to also think about our call to action. So we can drive them exactly where we want them to go. That might be to your newsletter incentive. It might be to read a longer blog post on your website. It could be to go to your sales page.
And the other thing I love about this is you now have a visual thing. Instead of just all these ideas floating around in your mind, you have something that's tangible and visible that you can print out or draw up on a whiteboard so that when it is time to actually create these posts, it's ready to go and you don't have to dig around in your brain to find it.
And if you are posting 3 times a week, let's say on social media, and you do this ahead of time, you have months and months of content ideas that are very specific to your book, that's specific to your messaging and your overall presence online. And it's going to be intentional, which is the key to everything with your marketing and social media.
All right, so let's recap all of this. Our content is what we're using to connect with our ideal reader, and it can be text, images, photos, graphics, videos, audio, and all of that content, wherever we put it up on our website, on each of our social media accounts, needs to fall into topic categories that you are calling content buckets.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, we break those larger topic categories into individual topic ideas, which can then be broken down into 4 different types of posts that have different purposes that are one of 4 things: educational, inspirational, entertaining, or promotional.
Yes.
And when we write all of these things out in this systematized, broken down process, it'll save us time and it will actually help keep us on track and focused on who our ideal reader is and what they want to hear from us.
Exactly. And the great thing about focusing on your content is that no matter what changes come to social media, if a new outlet comes up, if Instagram adds another feature,
right,
your content is that steady stream that you control. Right. We get so fixated and caught up in the delivery system that we negate the actual content or what we're talking about.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it's a reel, if it's a TikTok, if it's an image. The message that you're trying to portray and to get through is what is going to stick with people,
right?
Not the fact that it's a reel or a TikTok or whatever.
Where and how they're consuming
exactly
your content. Yeah. All right. So what is the make it happen moment for our content?
The make it happen moment is to at least start listing out and identifying your content buckets. If this is kind of overwhelming to you and you need someplace to start by listing out your content buckets and then just start coming up with some ideas. Take this in baby steps. Do these steps one at a time if this is overwhelming for you. Mm-hmm. But if this is something that excites you and you want to jump right in, start going through this process because I know it is going to make a huge, huge difference in your overall content creation, but also in how you actually connect with people and overall market your book.
And you've actually created a great resource to also help in this.
I sure have.
What is it called?
It's called the Content Vault for Writers, and it provides over 365 ideas that you can run with.
So that's one for each day of the year.
One for each day of the year. And it also shows how you can turn just one idea into at least 20 separate pieces of content.
And you can find that at mixtusmedia.com/tools. And we'll also include a link to it in the show notes for this episode. So if you find what we've talked about today helpful, and if you dig into the Content Vault and are seeing success with these tools that we're providing for you, let us know. We want to hear from you.
Yes, please.
And if there's something missing, also let us know,
yes.
Especially. And we always appreciate the fact that you're listening to this podcast, that you're reading Jenn's content in all the places. So thank you. And one of the places that you can leave feedback for others to see to help them benefit from everything that we're providing is in whatever app you're listening to this podcast on.
Yes, we value your feedback. So thank you for listening.
And we'll see you next time.